Okay, hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Tekking Talks About Swords! These videos are always critically acclaimed, I don't know why. Oh wait, yes I do, because everybody loves talking about swords! They're swords! They're cool, and they cut things! I don't think there's a single human being on this planet that doesn't like swords. Cue the contrarian to that. Like, actually, Tekking, I personally prefer bows and arrows. Like, alright, Uryu Ishida, that's great, awesome, okay. So, we got two new blades introduced in the One Piece story right now. We're actually probably gonna get a lot more, because we just found that whole storehouse that Kawamatsu and Onimaru have been hiding all those blades, those famous blades from the past samurai of Wano. I'm sure there's plenty of Meitos mixed in there that we're gonna find out about. But right now, we're focusing on two in particular. We're focusing on the blades of Kozuki Oden. He used a two-sword style. He had one blade named Enma, and he had another blade named Ame No Habakiri. And he used these blades to cause the scar on Kaido. Now, the way that Hiyori explained this, she said that Enma was the blade that caused the scar, but considering the scar on Kaido is sort of like a cross kind of scar, I like to imagine, like, Oden jumping into the sky, fighting against a giant dragon, taking out, like, two-sword style Getsuga Jujisho, and slices him like this, and then that's what caused the scar, alright? If nothing else, I'm pretty sure both swords in the hands of Oden were equally as devastating, okay? We don't know the ranks of them yet. Hiyori speaks of them that they were very revered blades, and they were created by very revered swordsmiths, so of course, and Oden used it. By the way, I need to do another video on just how badass Roger's crew was, because now we're finding out more stuff about Oden. It's like Oden was able to, like, slice Kaido, this, like, indestructible beast, and then we had Rayleigh, and then we had Crocus, and then we had Roger himself, Bullet from Stampede. I'm sure, like, the events of Stampede are not going to be considered canon, but Douglas Bullet might very well be considered canon in terms of, like, Roger's crew at one point. Bunch of Roger's crew had Conqueror's Hockey, so yeah, Roger knew how to pick his men, alright? Roger's walking up to Oden, he's like, you samurai of Wano, I might consider you as a new member of my crew, the Roger Pirates, but what are your credentials? He's like, I sliced a dragon in half. You're hired, you're in. Now, granted, he didn't cut Kaido up until after Roger was dead, but he could have still cut a dragon in half. We don't know what's up with Oden. He might have had a very storied life. Alright, so, we got two blades. Unfortunately, I don't have them back here because they were just revealed in the manga, although I'm really excited because if Zoro's gonna get Enma, I'm sure they're gonna at least make that sword so you can purchase it like the rest of Zoro's blades, so, yay, I'll be excited when I can get a new Zoro sword. So, for this video, Ame no Habakiri, the Snake Slayer, will be played by my sword, which of course is named... And, of course, Enma will be played by Kisuke Urahara's Zanpakuto Benehime, because I just like the design of it. Also, I should mention, Michael Lindsay, the original English VA for Urahara, passed away recently. He passed away on August 30th, and I just get a chance to mention this. So my thoughts go out to his family, because he was one of the best VAs. Like, growing up, like, I remember watching, like, Toonami. He played Kankuro in Naruto, and then he played Kisuke, of course, and that was on more of Adult Swim, but, like, those were, like, formative years for me getting into anime, and I love Michael's voice. He retired from voice acting. Doug Earholtz, I think I'm pronouncing that right, took over a lot of his roles, but he's always, and Doug was great, but, Michael was always just the original Kisuke. I just really loved his voice, a very iconic voice, so, yeah, we lost one of the good ones there. But anyway, yeah, let's talk about Enma first, okay, because Enma's the blade that Hiyori first mentioned. I am absolutely 130% certain Ame no Habakiri is going to play a role in the story, considering it's the Totsuka blade that Susanoo used to slay the monster Orochi in Japanese myth. And, I wonder if that's going to connect back to anything in Wano. It's not like there's a character in Wano that's a villain named Orochi or anything. So yeah, I'm sure that's not going to connect back to anything at all. But no, let's talk about Enma first. Okay, so Enma. Alright, I'm gonna put this back in the sheath here, because I think this one actually is pretty sharp. Alright, so Enma, though, it's made up of the kanji for town and the kanji for demon or oni or devil. Put them together and you get either the underworld or the guardian of the underworld, Enma, or you could also just interpret it as devil. So that's a much more bombastic, just straight up way of saying it, just like Zoro is going to have a blade that just means devil. I'd be just like, it's Zoro, it fits, right? And also, by the way, we don't really know which one is which, as I said in the review, but I'm just going to assume that the black sword is going to be Enma and the white sword is Ame no Habakiri. Just because, like, the layout, the aesthetic of Zoro's swords, you know, we have his white sword, Wado Ichimonji, and then we had, you know, before he gave it up, we had his black sword, Shusui, black scabbard, and the black blade, the Kokuto, and then we had a red blade, the Sandai Katetsu, okay? So I think just to fit with the aesthetic, getting another black sword, like, or at least the black scabbard would fit. We don't know if Enma is a Kokuto yet. It's very likely it could be, right? So we'll see on that, right? But anyway, yeah, so it just means, like, the guardian of the underworld in Shinto belief, okay? There's Enma there, right? Very imposing kind of figure, and it fits very well with Zoro there. Now, here's the thing, and I've missed this in the review, and I'm kind of kicking myself for it. Because the last review had those time skips, you know, where we open up the chapter in Ringo, and it's 7 days before the Fire Festival, and then we cut to Luffy in the prison, and then it's like 6 days, and then we cut over to the group in like the strategy meeting in Curry, and that's 5 days, okay? We actually get to see Zoro at the strategy meeting there. Alright, so, and then we also see Kawamatsu and Tenguyama and everybody there gathering together, and Kinemon's about to explain to them what they're actually going to do for the Fire Festival, right? Well, you could see Zoro there, and, you know, you can't really see it too well with his swords, because it is kind of it's kind of obscured a little bit, it is kind of small, but, I'm wondering if he has Enma with him right there in that scene, because this is apparently 2 days after he spoke to Hiyori. Now, Hiyori did not just have Enma and Ame no Habakiri on her in that, you know, unless, you know, she takes off her freaking whole kimono thing and she has these 2 blades on them. I mean, she was wearing, like, large clothing, so maybe she did, but I'm assuming that she wasn't talking about giving Zoro Enma, like, right there, but she was talking about how she inherited Enma from her dad, and she knows where it's located, and she was gonna go get it and then give it to Zoro. But even so, this is 2 days after that exchange where they had that conversation about it, and Zoro said, yeah, all right, I guess I can give you Shusui as long as I'm getting a replacement there that's, like, of equal prestige, right? Now, as for the rank of these swords, because we talked about this, and of course, you know, she was bringing it up like Oden used this, and of course he was one of the greatest samurai that ever lived, he was on Roger's crew and everything, and then of course they were made by some of these famous swordsmiths and everything, so I was immediately jumping to the conclusion that these were going to be like the highest prestige out there. And considering Zoro is trading in Shusui, which is an Owazamono, getting the next higher rank, the higher rank, Saijo Owazamono, that would just make sense. I think it's time Zoro got one of those. You know, it's been 950 something chapters. He's went through the ranks. Zoro's pretty strong. I think he deserves a Saijo blade, right? I just personally think he does. Alright, because I really think Oda wants to get all of the Saijo revealed before the end of One Piece. For a very, very long time in One Piece, we didn't really focus on the Meito grades at all. I'm really glad Oda's getting back into that, and I'm sure that was planned, you know, just like, well, I don't really have a lot of time to reveal all these swords' names and ranks. Honestly, he says that sometimes, but I'm just a little confused by that. Sometimes Oda will say, well, I have a hard time revealing the names and swords of everything. It's just like, you know, all you really need to do is just throw a little box in the chapter, Oda. I mean, hey, he's the mangaka. I'm not telling you how to do your job, but you could have, like, Whitebeard take out his Bicento, and then you could just have a little dialogue box appear below the sword that just says, this is the Cloud Cutter, and it's a Saijo Owazamono blade. That's all it takes, yeah, but hey, that's maybe not how he wants to do it, fine. So he was probably thinking, like, when we get to Wano, I'm gonna knock this Meito stuff into high gear. We're gonna find out a lot about swords and everything, and it makes sense given the fact that Wano is the land of samurai. Most of the Meito blades in the world would be found in this country, right? Also the other reason why I really want Tashigi to show up here at some point, right? So, we've already found out about Yoru and the Shodai Katetsu. Those were the only Saijo Owazamono blades we knew about for a very, very long time. And then Oda revealed in SBS that Whitebeard's Bicento, that was also a Saijo Owazamono blade. So we got 3 right now confirmed. We also have, of course, Shanks's blade Griffin. I really like to think that's going to be a Saijo just because it's Shanks, but we don't know. Okay, so we have 3 confirmed so far, so we got another 9 we need to go through, right? So if Oda is going to reveal 2 at once, and just be like, yeah, Ame no Habakiri, Enma, two blades revealed at the same time. They're both Saijo Awa's mono blades. They were wielded by Oden, and even before Oden, it's very likely that these blades might be like the blades that were supposed to be wielded by like the shogun of Wano, because the father of Oden, Sukiyake, he was the former shogun. And, you know, Oden had a rough life growing up, and he was kind of a rambunctious, kind of delinquent sort of character, but then over the years, he eventually became this really respected man, the daimyo of Curry, so it stands to reason that his father, Sukiyake, would want to bestow him with the title of shogun afterwards. Like, he is a good heir to this position, right? So, it's very possible that these blades existed long before Oden. These are, like, the most venerated blades in all of Wano that currently are being used by living samurai. Certainly, like, Shusui has, like, a different kind of status, okay? It is probably the single most revered blade in the entire country because it was wielded by Ryuma, the sword god, but a different kind of context than, like, Ame no Habakiri and Enma. Still famous blades, but blades that are still wielded by samurai, that are passed down between either the daimyo or just the shogun. Like, the shogun gives those blades to the next shogun, and that's how it goes. And we saw that whenever Oden died. We didn't really see Oden die. We know that he fought Kaido, caused the scar on Kaido. Something happened after that. Oden got captured by Orochi's men or Kaido's men and got boiled alive. And at some point in between that, he bequeathed his Enma and his Ame no Habakiri to his children. He gave Enma to Hiyori, he gave Ame no Habakiri to Momonosuke, right? And Momonosuke, he has probably no idea, he might not even be aware of that, you know, because, well, I'm not really sure how this went down. I'm a little confused on the timelines here, because he clearly used the blades to slice down Kaido or cause that scar on Kaido, so Oden and Kaido had to have a, you know, bitchin' dragon battle right at one point. But then what happened after that? How exactly do you get these blades from, like, I'm fighting Kaido, and then, like, alright, I'm captured. Can I give these swords over to my kids? And Kaido's like, alright, fine, I guess I'll give you that one concession. Like, alright. So, it's very possible that, like, after Oden realized that he was going to lose the fight, or maybe Orochi did some kind of dirty trick, like try to backstab him or something, when Oden realized he wasn't going to get out of this, he decided to take his blades, and he either gave them to members of the Scabbards, or he gave them to Toki, and was just like, you know, give these blades, give Enma to Hiyori, make sure Momo gets Ame no Habakiri. That's my final will, before he got carted off and captured. Also, by the way, considering the way that we found out about Oden, the kind of guy that he is, and we don't know exactly how he got captured, but whenever Kinemon was explaining the story to the Straw Hats, you know, they were laughing and having a good time remembering all the stuff about Oden, but then when the story shifts and Kinemon talks about how he was captured and killed, everybody kind of looks, like, shocked and stunned, like they couldn't even believe what was happening in the story. And Luffy in particular was, like, fuming. He was like, how dare Orochi do that? So, I mean, it's entirely possible that, like, Orochi and Kaido realized that maybe defeating Oden through physical might, like beating him down, that's too dangerous because of the scar Kaido got. Maybe Kaido tried to invade Wano, Oden jumps up into the sky and just shing, and then slices him, and Kaido's like, ah, damn it, why did you do that, ah! And so he retreats for the moment, and everybody's praising it, because this also, by the way, this would fit Oda's writing style to a T, where everybody's cheering like, yes, Lord Oden, you saved us from the dragon demon devil, you know, and everyone's cheering for Oden, and Oden's there, and he's just like, yeah. And then, let's say he gets a message from the capital, the flower capital. He gets a message from his dad that says, like, oh, Oden, thank you for defending the shores of Wano. You must come to the flower capital at once for a celebration, like a banquet. And then he's like, maybe because Oden and his dad, they weren't on great terms, maybe Oden looked at that as a chance to reconcile with his father. And so he's like, I'm going to go to this. And so he goes to the capital, but it was already taken over by Orochi or, you know, Kaido, or they did something else to kind of take over the country. And then that's when Oden got captured and got thrown in the hot pot, right? So it's possible that maybe that's like in between his fight with Kaido, he gave his swords over. Like, I want these swords to be handed to them, because maybe Oden had a feeling or something. But that would fit kind of like, oh wow, Oden had a really big victory. He was strong enough to win. He should have won. But then through underhanded tricks by Orochi, he ended up being captured and killed. So that would fit writing style. It would like lead to be like, okay, there's a little bit of a buffer of time there. It's not like Oden sliced Kaido and then Kaido immediately grabbed him and crushed his bones and then threw him in the hot pot right afterwards. All right, there was a little bit of time there. So yeah, I mentioned this before, but it kind of is like Samurai Jack in the first episode of Samurai Jack, when Jack's father takes the sword and he goes to fight Aku, and Aku's like, not this time. And then, he throws the sword to his wife and he's like, you must protect the sword. And then he dies. Then, Jack has to go and train. And then after he trains, his mother gives him the blade later on in that Tibetan temple. Kind of similar, sort of, right? Where maybe Toki was the one responsible because, Momo got sent to the future. Hiyori was 6. Maybe she tasked maybe another one of the scabbards to hide the blades somewhere. Maybe it was Denjiro. Maybe Denjiro's job was to take the blades and hide them in Wano somewhere until, so like Hiyori came of age, or until Momo arrived from the future, they could take those blades. So I think it's the perfect sword for Zoro. Just the name of it and the design and the pedigree. I think Zoro will definitely make use of this sword, right? Now, some people have been saying, it was like, well, it's kind of the same deal with Shusui, where the Zoro, like, that blade doesn't really belong to Zoro. It belongs to Hiyori. It belongs to the lineage of the shoguns of Wano, or their heirs. It doesn't belong to outsiders like Zoro. Well, I can see a few ways beyond that. Number one, there's the idea that Zoro might be a descendant of Ryuma. That's been kind of thrown out a lot, considering how Ryuma looks so similar to Zoro. Now, I wouldn't be upset if that happened. I talked about this before, so it's very likely he might be the descendant of Ryuma, okay? So he does have a connection to Wano in some way. Also, you have to look at the different, contexts here. Like, the way that he fought against Ryuma, even Zoro was kind of remembering it, and it's like, well, I only fought against his corpse. It's not like Ryuma, when he was alive, I fought him and then he gave me this sword. It was after he was dead, and he shouldn't even have been there to begin with. His body should have laid to rest in Wano for all time, and that's where Shusui should have rested, but then Moria stole it. So, kind of a different context than now. Hiyori is a still living person that is the rightful heir to the blade. She owns Enma. She can do whatever she wants with it, right? She can choose to give it to somebody else, and I think Hiyori definitely trusts Zoro, and she's kind of, hankering for his long sword style. That's an appropriate way to put it. Hiyori's got the hots for Zoro. That's already been kind of established. So, she trusts him, though, and I think, you know what? You're the master swordsman. You're more so than I could be, because Hiyori... I like to think Hiyori does know some stuff around weapons. She was just playing the act of, like, the, Komurasaki, the courtesan, but I'm sure that if she wanted to, she could bust out a blade and she would actually have some competency at using it. But, of course, nowhere near the level that Zoro has. So she's probably looking at the situation and she's like, well, if there's anybody that has a shot at actually winning this battle, like facing off against Kaido and the Calamities and Orochi and the Onibawa and his Royal Samurai Guard, like, it's Zoro. So this blade that my father used, that's incredibly powerful and venerated, it would be in better hands if you wielded it than I did, okay? So, different context there. I think if Hiyori gives it to Zoro, and she willingly does that and everything like that, I think it would fit very well. Also, I've seen comments that are like, oh, that's basically like Hiyori giving Zoro a wedding ring. Like, here's your blade. I'm like, well, I want to see how that plays out. I'm actually kind of curious in how it plays out. I'm assuming the arc is not going to end with Zoro choosing to live on Wano and married to Komurasaki or Hiyori. I'm assuming that's not how that's going to end, but you never know how it's going to end. We saw how the whole putting Sanji thing just kind of ended there, with Sanji getting his memories erased, so we'll see how it goes with Zoro, right? He never seemed really interested in that sort of stuff, but we'll see where it goes, okay? So, that's Enma, though. now moving on to Ame no Habakiri. As I mentioned, most of the stuff we know about this blade, because in the manga, all we saw was the design of it, right? We haven't really seen it itself, and Hiyori really hasn't given us much lore of the blade, but just the name and what it connects to in Japanese mythology, that kind of gives us all we really need to know, okay? So I did a video on this. I did a video on Orochi where I actually go into the lore of the story. Susanoo wandering the world. He encounters, I believe, it's been a while since I brushed up on the story, but I believe he encounters an elderly couple, and their daughter is supposed to be sacrificed to Orochi, which is this giant blood snake with 8 heads. And Orochi comes down from the mountain to take the daughter of these of this elderly couple, and Susanoo lays out a bunch of alcohol because Orochi loves alcohol, and then all of the 8 heads dunk its head in this alcohol, and the alcohol makes it like drunk and just begins to stagger, and then that's when Susanoo takes out his Totsuka blade and slices down each head of the Orochi. I might be missing a few points of that story. It's been a little while since I've told it, but that's the general idea here. So the blade, Ame no Habakiri, is one of the most revered, if not the most revered, of these Totsuka blades, and it's the blade that he used to slice this thing down. So, considering Orochi's the villain, this blade has to be used. I repeat, has to be used to slice off at least a couple of Orochi's heads. You know, I want to go back to my original idea, like, who's gonna take out Orochi? Is it gonna be Zoro? Is it gonna be Hiyori? Is it gonna be Momo? Is it gonna be Kinemon? Any one of these characters, it makes sense. Is it gonna be Luffy? Any one of these characters makes sense because Orochi is such a, I need to think of a dastardly devil. He is so much of a dastardly devil, so many people hate him for what he's done. Zoro hates him for what he did to Yasuie. Hiyori hates him for what he did to his father. Luffy hates him because he heard this epic story about this great samurai named Oden that traveled with Roger, and we found out what happened to him. We don't know what happened to him, but we found out what happened to him, and Luffy was enraged by that. Momo, the same reason Hiyori, because he killed his father. So yeah, there's all these people, and Kinemon, because he was the leader of the Scabbards, and from what he did to his master and everything. So yeah, a lot of people want Orochi's head, but it's good because he has 8 of them, right? So he could break off into 8 heads, and then you could have, like, Zoro slice off one of them with Enma, you could have Kinemon slice off one of them with his sword, you could have freaking, you could have Luffy come up with the Nidai and slices that one off, but the final blow's gotta be with Ame no Habakiri. Now, would that be by Hiyori, or would that be by Momo? Here's the thing I want to talk about with Momo, alright? And this is something to bring up, okay? Momo is an important character because, like, that's part of the whole reason why they're fighting in Wano, so they can get rid of Orochi and Kaido, sure, but also so Momo can take his rightful position as the heir of he's the shogun of Wano. He's the son of Oden, so he can become the new shogun, and he can kind of rule over the country, and it can be prosperous again, okay? That's the kind of the whole point. Right, but he's still an 8-year-old kid. That's the thing. So how is he gonna really play a role in the rebellion, in the actual fight at the Fire Festival? I don't see him, like, the smart thing to do, this is what I want to say, the smart thing to do would be like, alright, Momo, you're a little kid. I understand you wanna have revenge on your father, and you wanna, you know, bring, you know, glory to the name of Kozuki again. I understand you wanna do all that, but you're a child. Alright, we need to put you somewhere safe during this epic battle so you don't die. Because if you die, the whole point of this is gone. I mean, I know Hiyori is still around, but we followed Momonosuke so much from Punk Hazard to now to get him on the throne. He needs to make sure that he's safe, right? You know, somebody needs to make sure he's safe. So I don't know if he's gonna have a position where he takes out Ame no Habakiri and he's like, you killed my father. Prepare to die. Ah! And he just slices down Orochi's head. Like, where would he be? Would he just pop out of nowhere and slice him down? I don't know how that would go. I could probably see this going down where it's like he is put somewhere safe, and then throughout the course of the battle, he sneaks out, and he's like, screw this, I want to play a part in this battle too, because that's the kind of kid he is. But yeah, I mean, I'm curious at how that's going to go. There's also been theories out there, because we have time shenanigans going on, that there's, and also Shinobu's fruit, which is the maturity fruit, there might be some means to get Momonosuke to grow up, you know, so he's like an adult, or the adult he would have been normally, because he would be like, 20 years, he'd be like 28 years old right about now, if he aged normally, if he went through the normal passages of time. So, I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. I mean, I don't think Shinobu's maturity fruit works on living things, or it doesn't work on people. She did age the ground and the earth to, decrease during that time when Kaido attacked the castle, but I don't think it works on people. And the time fruit that Toki used, we don't even know who has the time fruit right now. It could be Hiyori. We just don't know. So yeah, we don't know what's going on with that, with the maturity factor, if Momo's gonna grow up and become like a proper shogun right away, or if he's just gonna be the heir and like Kinemon's gonna help him out rule the country until the time comes where he's like, he can actually be coronated and all that stuff. I don't know what the status of the shogun is in Wano. I don't know exactly what you do that, but yeah. So where are the blades hidden? I'm sure that there is like that temple in Hakumai, the Enma temple. It's possible like underneath that temple, like before I said they were hidden under the floorboards, maybe not like that, but maybe there's like a secret thing, kind of like going back to Naruto here, like that shrine underneath the Uchiha hideout, where you can like move this rock and you have to do it a certain way, and underneath there is like a chamber, so maybe it's something like that. Maybe if you go into the Enma temple, you walk in and it seems like a normal forest shrine, like there's nothing crazy, but if it's like you turn these dials a certain way or something, and then you turn the head of Enma to reverse to represent whatever, the thing moves, and there's a staircase, and you go down there, and these two locked boxes, and Enma and Ame no Habakiri are in those boxes. Maybe it's something like that, more secretive, right? That only the Kozuki clan or the Scabbards would know about, all right? And then down there is also the skeleton of Denjiro. He's like, I protected these swords until I died. So, okay. Anyway, that's the video. I just wanted to bring up everything that we know so far about Enma and about Ame no Habakiri. Like I said, I think it's the perfect sword for Zoro to get coming up next, so we'll see where that goes. Comment below on what rank you think the swords are going to be, how Ame no Habakiri is going to play a role in taking out Orochi, who's going to get it. If it's not Momo that gets it right now because he's a little kid, how would this play a role here? Maybe Kinemon might take it and might use it and give it to Momo after the fight's over. I have no idea how this is going to go down. But thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Tekking101 signing out. There we go. Has to make the clack.